Good evening, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living on the Lake. I'm really grateful that you're here. And let me just close that. Too many things open on the computer. So welcome to CSL on the Lake. I'm Barbara Schreiner Trudell. I'm the founder and spiritual director, and I'm really grateful that you're here. Our vision is transforming humanity through the emergence of the sacred, authentic self. And our mission is to welcome you as you are, where you are, without judgment or criticism, providing a sacred place of learning and growing as you seek to achieve your greatest dreams. We accomplish this by offering science mind classes, social events, inspiring workshops, thought-provoking services, and practitioner support. We honor the revelation of your emerging sacred, authentic self through our positive messaging and our loving support. And now, a special song by Fearless Soul.
A bad day isn't a bad life. It's okay, you're doing just fine. When you feel like fighting the world and nothing's going right, remind yourself it'll be alright. One day you will look back and see how much you've grown, how far you have traveled through each and every storm. This is only a season. It won't rain forever, it's only a moment. In time it'll get better. I know you are hurting, but better days will come. This is only a season. If you keep running away from everything, take a second, let the tears run. When your heart is feeling heavy and you've come undone, remind yourself that you are loved. One day you will look back and see how much you've grown, how far you have traveled through each and every storm. This is only a season. It won't rain forever, it's only a moment. In time it'll get better. I know you are hurting, but better days will come. This is only a season. Let go of what's out of your control. I know easier said than done. Go slow. Take the time you need to heal before you know what new days will have begun. One day you will look back and see how much you've grown, how far you have traveled through each and every storm. This is only a season. It won't rain forever, it's only a moment. In time it'll get better. I know you are hurting, but better days will come. This is only a season. This is only a season. This is only a season.
Oh, beautiful. So the land acknowledgement. The land acknowledgement is a formal statement recognizing the unique and enduring relationship that exists between Indigenous peoples and their traditional territories. For thousands of years, this land has been cared for by the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, the Wendat peoples, and more recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit. To recognize the land is an expression of gratitude and appreciation to those whose territory we reside on. So today, this meeting place is still home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and it is important to understand the long-standing history that has brought us here, and to seek to understand our place within that history. We're all one, so let us pause a moment to simply be grateful. So at this time, I invite you to quiet your mind, pardon me, as we just take a breath in and go into a time of meditation. So I invite you just to breathe with me, a deep breath in and exhaling. Another in-breath and letting it out. And one more deep breath. And as you exhale, feeling the body relax completely, shoulders are dropping. And it is in this relaxed state that I find strength and wisdom, depth and understanding on this journey of life and living. I recognize that there's a power for good in the universe that is beyond my wildest imagining, something beautiful and remarkable that fills every point in space. It is all powerful. It is all knowing. So I breathe in that awareness and that understanding, and I allow the energy of that idea to permeate every cell, to fill the thoughts of my mind, the activity of my life, and to be a constant reminder of the good that is ever present. I know in this moment that this evening comes together with ease and grace, that something said or done warms the heart and inspires greater action. I know that this day truly is a gift and a blessing. And so with a very grateful heart, filled with love and peace, I release these ideas into the law of mind. It is done. All is well. And so it is. So the lesson tonight is called the Inconvenient Blessing. And I think most of us can relate to little inconveniences that sometimes get us a little upset, shall we say. Dennis Merritt Jones, in his book, Encouraging Words, writes, knowing the difference between a problem and an inconvenience makes everyday life a more meaningful experience. So he said, if you're so inclined, the question I would invite you to do some self-inquiry around today is this: where in your life might you have mistaken an inconvenience as a problem? So taking time to put things in proper perspectives is a wise thing to do. The practice is to learn the difference between your inconveniences and the problems and to appreciate them. Just consider how blessed you are to have so many inconveniences and so few problems. And if you do, then when a true problem arises, you'll be able to recognize it and mindfully respond to it rather than mindlessly react to it. So, a couple of examples. Robert Fulham wrote, one of life's best coping mechanisms is to know the difference between an inconvenience and a problem. If you break your neck, if you have nothing to eat, if your house is on fire, then you've got a problem. Everything else is an inconvenience. Life is inconvenient. Life is lumpy. A lump in the oatmeal, a lump in the throat, a lump in the breast, not the same kind of lump. One needs to learn the difference. What I loved about the idea of this particular topic is that there is so much that goes on in our day-to-day lives that we sort of take hold of like it's the end of the earth, the end of the world as we know it, right? For me, it's, sitting on the phone with, Rogers, for example, trying to resolve an issue. And sometimes that phone call can last a really long time. A problem or an inconvenience? I think it's an inconvenience. I might choose to respond differently in the future. The journey that we're on and the way that we're moving through life overall is really all about our choices and the perceptions that we have regarding the events that are happening around us. And when we take a look at an event, the event of itself is neutral. Okay, it has no power. It is simply an event. Once we look at that event, we then attach something to it. We look at it and go, that's bad. Ah, okay, it's negative. My emotions then begin to match that energy of sadness, anger, frustration, annoyance, whatever it might be. Those feelings come up in response to the judgment that I've placed on the event. Another possibility might be I look at it and go, wow, best thing ever. So now it's all positive. Now I'm happy and joyful. The event of itself has not changed. My experience of it is different. And here's what I noticed years ago. I come from a family of 10 children. I'm the eldest. And I can assure you that we could sit down with each and every one of these 10 kids and ask about one particular day that we were all in attendance at, whether it be one Christmas or one anniversary, one whatever. And I can assure you that there will be some members of the family who think it was the worst day ever, and some who might say it was the best day ever. My question to you is, who's right? Who's right in that scenario? The thing is that we look at the world around us and we look at the events that are going on, and we decide based on our belief system, our values, the way we've been raised, maybe even where we were raised, and we make a judgment on whatever is happening around us. And then that judgment becomes our reality because it becomes our experience. And an experience is something that is not, it's not truth. It's merely my perception of events, my reality. Ernest Holmes wrote in The Science of Mind, thoughts are more than things. They are the cause of things. Things have no independent existence since there can be nothing external to some comprehending mind. Our work is done in mind alone, and our entire equipment is thought and a knowledge of the power which it utilizes. The power is superior to the intellect in its creativeness. What I think that means, what that means to me anyway, is that I have the ability through my thoughts to begin to move this power of creation into form. I can create my life based on my thinking. So when I look at the world around me and I place judgment on certain things, what happens is I have then labeled it according to my personal perceptions. Doesn't mean it's the truth. It just means that that's my reality. So when we're looking at the world around us, it would be really, really helpful for us and for others if we could separate the inconvenience from the problem, and then realize that a lot of these inconveniences actually are a blessing. I know, doesn't sound like it, right? But it is. There's certain things that happen that change our trajectory. There's certain things that occur in front of us that cause us to think in a new way or to move in a different direction. Everything that's going on at every point in space is either taking me toward my highest, greatest vision for life and living, or moving me further away from it. And I am the determining factor. If I'm looking at every inconvenience as like a major life problem, then my life is probably going to be filled with suffering. But if I look at those inconveniences and go, oh, well, this too shall pass, what happens then is I begin to move through this life journey in a way that is far more productive. Something happens that makes it easier, more palatable, shall we say. So here's the thing. The journey that we're on, each one of us, is individual. There's no two alike, even twins. There's no two alike. So if I am journeying along my path and somebody comes along and says or does something that causes me upset, then I have a choice in that moment. I have a choice of acknowledging that something in me is reacting to what's been said or done. Or I can look at that person and point a finger and call them bad and wrong. It's just about perceptions. So for me, what I like to do whenever something trips me up is, maybe after the initial response, to come to a place of going, what is this telling me about life? What is this suggesting for me moving forward? And when we look at some of the things that happen and the way that they happen, we can actually get a good sense of what is actually required of us or what needs to shift or change. It's like we sprain our ankle and we sit back and we can be really mad or upset about it, or, oh no, now what am I going to do? Or we can relax into, what was I thinking right before this occurred? What was going on for me right before this happened? And sometimes we get an insight that is really powerful, that lets us know that there was a thought that preceded the experience. Now, we're not always going to be able to take it back like that, but sometimes we can. And it's a really important thing to be able to do, because as we become more and more aware that my thoughts create my life, what happens is whatever's going on, I want to go back to that initial thought. So I used to get this thing in my neck, those strained necks that you get sometimes, where all of a sudden you're walking around like this because something's happened. Well, I used to get that all the time. And I sat back, I'd had lots of different, shiatsu and acupuncture and stuff to try and fix it. And what I realized one day is when it was occurring, I could feel it coming on, and I stopped right there and said, what were you just thinking? And I noticed that the thought that I had was about being overwhelmed and feeling like I was carrying the weight of the world. And so I interrupted it right away and went, no, cancel that. That's not true. That's not what's going on here. And the neck eased up. Over the next little while, every time that would start to happen, if I'd catch it soon enough, I could think back to what the thought was, and I would prevent it from occurring. Now, I can't even remember the last time I got a stiff neck. It's been years now. But the thing is that our body and our world of affairs is speaking to us constantly and continuously. What we do with the information that comes in either blesses us or causes us greater sorrow and interruption. So if I look at what's going on, a little strained neck, it's an inconvenience, right? But it becomes a blessing when I acknowledge the pre-connection or the thought that preceded the pain. Because once I become aware of how I'm creating my life experience, right, I can begin to alter it and shift it. So that's the work that I have been doing for a number of years. I don't always catch it. In fact, more often than not, I don't. But in the moments that I do, it is a huge reminder that I have the ability, as do you, to begin to run my life in a way that I find satisfying and rewarding. And if I am inconvenienced, I have an ache, I have a pain, I have, I'm stuck in traffic, I'm missing an appointment. If I stop long enough, instead of calling that bad and wrong or thinking I'm an idiot for doing whatever, if I just pause for a moment and go, where was I just now? What was I just thinking about? I may very well come up with an answer, a solution, or a possibility that might help me to shift that in a way that happens easily and comfortably. See, life doesn't have to be hard and difficult. It doesn't have to be, because we can change the languaging. We can change our attitude toward what's going on. We can begin to look at inconveniences and go, in what way is this blessing me? There was a great spiritual teacher years ago, and I can't remember who it was that said this, but it's looking at a situation and going, I demand to see the good in this. I demand to see the good in this, because the reality is that whatever is moving us is showing us something if we would only pay attention. And sometimes we don't. I'm as guilty as anybody else. But when we pay attention, the information that we glean from that is that I have the ability to alter my experience based on how I view the events as they occur. That's pretty powerful. That is pretty powerful. I have the ability to change my experience of any particular event by changing the way I view it when it occurs. Interesting thought, isn't it? And what if it's true? What if you can do that too? What if you're driving down the road and, the traffic is all backed up and you're a little bit inconvenienced by that? But then you find out that the appointment you were going to, well, the person you're meeting was behind you. And so everything worked out fine. All of that time sitting in traffic when you were fretting, worrying, upset, we affect our physical well-being by raising adrenaline, by changing the hormone balance in our life because we get angry and upset. We have a choice about that. And we can take these inconveniences and see them as a blessing. Stop judging it as bad and wrong and horrible and terrible, and instead pull back and go, what's the gift in this? What's the silver lining? Because it's always there. Always. You get a pain in your knee, or you get a bill in the mail that you didn't expect and maybe can't afford. And you look at it and go, oh man, not again. Just stop for a moment and go, where have I been with my finances? Where have I been with my health? Where have I been with my neighbors and the people around me? Where does my mind go when I'm not paying attention to it? So I want to invite you to explore this over the next week, to spend a little bit of time kind of reviewing your life and any area where you're not particularly happy with how things are working out. And just look at it and ask yourself the question, what was I thinking right before? What was going on in my life right before this happened? And just pause and wait, listen, and hear what comes up. One of the habits that I got into years ago is anytime I received information more than once along the same lines, then I take that as more than a coincidence. I take it as a message. So a year ago, there was, a couple of people I knew who had shingles, which can be very painful and disfiguring, like, get it on your face and can cause, kind of a paralysis and stuff. So I sat back and I was on a phone call with somebody and I noticed this rash on her face. And I said, wow, what'd you do? And she goes, oh, it's shingles. And then about 3 weeks later, I'm talking to somebody else and they went, it's shingles. And I went, oh, okay, well, I called my doctor up and said, I'd like to get the shingles vaccine, because I thought, I don't need to get sick. This came to me twice. And my doctor said, well, if you wait 6 months, you'll be 65 and there won't be a charge for it. I said, no, that's fine. I'll just do it now. And I'll pay the $300 or whatever, right? When the messages come, we have a choice to follow them, to listen. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't get the vaccine. I have no idea. But what I do know is I haven't got shingles. The ideas that come, however they come, we have a choice to pay attention or not. We have a choice to look at life and decide it's easy or it's hard. They're both just 4-letter words. but they carry a punch. And when we sit back constantly and think about how hard life is and how hard it's getting and how hard it's always been, what happens is we create a repetition of that energy and that vibration. And the law of attraction is exact because it draws to us exactly what it is that we've been focusing on. And so what we want to do is look at where our focus is. And this is where paying attention to how we respond in life to the inconveniences, which is what we're talking about tonight, not the problems, right? But the inconveniences, the things that are not life and death, the things that are just, your husband leaves the toilet seat up and you take a dip in the middle of the night. Yeah, it's no fun, but is it really a big problem? Maybe a major inconvenience, but not necessarily a big problem. Somebody leaves the cupboard doors open or forgets to lock the car, or like there's a lot of things that happen. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, doesn't cause an accident, but maybe they just weren't watching and they slipped in front of you in a way that caused you to have to stop short. Everything in life is happening. And everything is happening according to consciousness, not just mine or yours, but the collective. And so when we look at the wars that are happening in the world, and we look at road rage, and we look at racism and poverty and all of the things that are going on around us, we have a choice as to how we deal with all of that. And when we are constantly on edge, constantly angry, frustrated, annoyed, resentful, guilty, whatever's going on for us, what's happening is all of that energy is going into the collective consciousness, the consciousness of the one, right? All of us are then impacted by that. What we want to do is create a world that's more peaceful, that is more compassionate and harmonious, a world that is kind of fun to live in rather than to be fearful. And so how to create that is to become it for ourselves. So if I can become peaceful in my life the majority of the time, right? What happens is that peaceful energy is going into the collective because there's only one of us here, right? There's only one thing going on. Each one of us, an individualized expression of the one, means we're all connected. And where we're connected is at that subjective part of mind. And in that place, we want to make sure that we're feeding it, but not with anger and resentment and guilt and frustration and annoyance and whatever else we can come up with. What we want to do is begin to look at it and go, okay, this is an inconvenience. This too shall pass. Take a breath. Let it go, knowing that something different is going to come up, something new. Everything is changing all the time. There's no end to change. So when we look at that and allow change to simply happen, it creates a greater sense of harmony and peace for us. And it goes back to what Robert Fulham said, where one of life's best coping mechanisms is to know the difference between an inconvenience and a problem. When we can define that and begin to look at inconveniences as something that we can easily overcome, we can easily move through, we will easily get to the other side. We begin to change our language a little bit because language is what moves energy into form. Okay, so if my movement or my attitudes, my everything is all frustrated, annoyed, and angry all the time, what happens is that creates a really dark energy around me that creates more and more and more of the same. It attracts to it like a magnet, just like being joyful attracts to it like a magnet. So we have a choice about how we respond to or deal with anything. And the way to get control of this mind of ours is through the practice of meditation. Taking time every day to simply quiet the mind, to take time every day to sit in silence and just sit. And what you may notice, what I notice is that my mind wanders when I do that. And so rather than try to force it into silence, which obviously doesn't work, I simply go with it and look at where it goes, look at what it's doing, and then bring myself back, because I do a breathing exercise when I meditate. Inhaling, exhaling. I just think those words as I breathe, and I just follow my natural rhythm of breath. And when my mind starts, I notice it, and I go back to my breath. But I'm aware of where my mind went. I am aware, was it worry? Was it joy? Was it frustration? Was it anger? Was I feeling guilty about something, resentful about something? See, I remember this when I come out of meditation. I don't focus on it while I'm trying to meditate. I simply observe and let go. Go back to the breath. Go back to the visualization. Go back to whatever it is that is your, it might be your mantra or something that is bringing you back to focus. I come back to focus, but when I come out of meditation, I'm aware of where my mind went. And awareness is power. When I'm fully conscious and aware of what's going on, I have the ability to change it or alter it. I can begin to go, whoa, wait a minute, that's not serving me. That's not going to get me to this great vision I have for my life. That's not going to take me there. If I think life is really hard, I get to be right. If I think everybody's against me, I get to be right. If I think the world is a horrible place, I get to be right. For me, that will be the experience that I have. But if I change that, if I begin to look in the mirror and choose to love who I am, where I am, as I am, as I begin to rename things easy instead of hard, when I come to a place of accepting that I'm on a journey without a destination, I'm just here to live moment by moment. That is the only requirement of life. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Be present with the now moment, without judgment, without criticism. Simply be present with the moment that is happening now. And it is in being present that I find the many gifts that are there. I find the joy of living, the beauty of the people around me, the warmth of, running into a neighbor on the street and having a moment of conversation. When we begin to live more consciously, we begin to live with greater peace and happiness. We begin to become more aware of how much beauty is around us. One of the things I love to do is when I go for walks, say hello to every person that I meet on the way. And most people are really comfortable with that. Most people are really good. And they'll say hi and smile and, oh, isn't it a nice day or whatever. What's your name? What's your name? What's your dog's name? There's little conversations that happen as a result. It doesn't take any extra time to be kind, to be compassionate, and to be available to someone else. So this inconvenience, and the reason the inconvenience is a blessing, is that every single thing that happens is taking us somewhere. As we view life, the way we view life, the way we speak about life, the way we speak about each other, the way we think about life, the way we think about each other, all of that is creating the life that we live. And we have the ability to live a really spectacular life. And it happens by recognizing that, yes, there's ups and downs. Yes, there's moments of disconnect and discord, and there's times when it just feels hard. But what if that is just a belief? And what if, by viewing it slightly differently, a sense of peace becomes the norm, joy becomes more natural, love is realized, kindness sort of rises to the top moment to moment. We're on a journey. We're on a journey. We're here to live. That's it. That's it. We don't need to become the prime minister, or we don't need to be famous in any way. We just need to draw a breath, love ourselves enough to express our wholeness, our authentic self, that sacred part of our being. We just need to allow the people around us to be who they are. And sometimes we'll like that and sometimes we won't, and that's okay too. Not everybody's going to like you. Not everybody's going to love you. Not everybody's going to like me or love me. And that's okay. But can you love yourself? Can you like yourself? Because that's the starting point. Because if we can really feel a connection to our own self, we are more likely to find space to welcome others into our world. And all the way around, there becomes greater peace and harmony. It doesn't happen by accident. It happens by conscious choices, day by day and moment by moment. So I invite you to look at all those little inconveniences in life and to maybe view them a little differently. See them as a minor bump in the road rather than a giant mountain that has to be climbed and gotten over, and it's hard. Whatever we name a thing, that's what it's going to be for us. Let's name it easy, joyful, loving, kind, compassionate, peaceful, and filled with love and light. That'll take us a great long way. An inconvenient blessing or a big problem? Perception. Namaste.
I can almost see it, that dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying, you'll never reach it. Every
Thank you, Genevieve. Well, it is that time in our service when we pass the virtual basket and accept gifts and blessings as it goes around. And I invite you to say with me the offering blessing, which is on your screen at the moment. I receive with gratitude. I use what I receive. I share with love. The law of circulation is active in my life now. I am grateful. All is well. And so it is. And of course, there's a few ways you can donate to CSL on the Lake. You can go to our website and hit the give link. You can set an e-transfer to admin@cslonthelake.com, or you can mail a check to our address at 38 Kootenai Crescent, Toronto, M1J1R7. And of course, all donations are tax deductible, which is the good news. Well, and we do have a few announcements. So Teen Group is starting in a week and a half, Saturday Night Alive. This is for youth from the ages of 13 to 18 to gather together to learn these principles and to discover how to make a truly great life, regardless of what might be going on around. So invite you to, send your teens this way, and let's see what kind of fun can be created through music, workshop, and just a great message of kindness and compassion. And I wanted to talk about our fall classes, which again are starting the middle of next week. So the first one is the Essential Ernest Holmes, which will run Thursdays, and it will run either in the morning or in the evening, depending on your preference. You can sign up for either. So 10 a.m. to 12:30 or 6:30 to 9 p.m., whichever works best for you. Also, the next class is the Self-Mastery, the Emergence of the True Self. And that's an 8-week class that runs on Saturdays from 10 in the morning till 12:30. That's an 8-week program, and it's one that really is going to be transformative for you. And for anyone who is looking to become a practitioner or move on to ministerial training, both of these classes are prerequisites for that program. And we're coming to the end of the Founding Members Club. We have been talking about this since we began, and our first year ends at the end of September. So that's our cutoff to become part of the Founding Members Club. Every person who has donated any amount of money over this year is now part of that beautiful elite club. Can only happen once, right? So I'm just excited to be able to have something up by probably by the middle of October that expresses where we're at and how we've done. And it's been really wonderful to see the generosity of all of you and the way you've contributed and participate. So I'm truly grateful, and I know that this is a wonderful blessing to all of us as we create this teaching and this sacred space for that. And Seva. So Seva is selfless service. It's coming to a place that supports and assists you in some way and welcomes you to be part of the we rather than me. And so we shift our focus from our own individualized self into the collective and how we can be of service to humanity, creating something beautiful. So you're invited to join our Seva team and be part of it. And if there's anything you'd like to do to help out next week, Monday night, when we're in person, yay, we welcome you sharing your gifts with us. Oh my goodness, excuse me. So next Monday night in person. Now we are going to continue streaming on YouTube and on Zoom. So if you join that way, you'll still be able to. And we invite you, if you're in the area, please do come and join us in person. Oh my goodness. And next Monday is going to be Friendship Monday. So we invite you to bring your friends, your family, introduce them to what we do. It's going to be a very special service. And for anyone who's been taking the classes, we will be giving out the certificates for those programs that you've completed. Will be given out next month's Monday night as well. My little throat is going all wonky on me. The law of circulation, we believe that it's important that we accept, utilize, and extend. And that's what we've been doing. So do you have a favorite charity, something that you'd like to see us support? We welcome your input. And this next month, as we're calculating August, we'll be sending out our gifts to a number of different organizations this month, and we will post those. We should have them posted maybe even next week. So watch for that information, and do send us your favorite charity, and we can make sure that we send a gift to them as well. And now let us close with our closing treatment. And then remember, we're going to stick around on Zoom afterward. So you're welcome to stay and just chit chat with us. So let us join together in consciousness as we close out tonight's service. I take a breath. I acknowledge and recognize that there's one power in the universe. One infinite creative intelligence, everywhere present, all-knowing, all-powerful, fully present and available here and now in its entirety at each point in space. All that it is, I am. It's powerful, intelligent. I am powerful and intelligent. It is in acknowledging this and recognizing this and living from this understanding and awareness that I create a life that is harmonious and loving, respectful and kind, peaceful and joyous. That I'm able to tell the difference between the various activities of my life and what is inconvenient and what is truly a problem. And it is in deciding that I move forward, creating life harmoniously and lovingly and with great joy and appreciation. And I know that all is well. So I'm filled with peace and love and joy. I'm filled with a sense of celebration, and I'm in awe of this entire process. Life is absolutely a gift and a blessing. So with a grateful and humble heart, I release these ideas into the law of mind. I know it is done and that all is well. I let that be the truth. And so it is. And now Nemo Patel and Daniel Nahmod, we shall overcome.
It's burning inside, the hurting and the suffering minds, creating anger, fear and pain, suffocating our times. The tougher it gets, the rougher social media cries. But we see to it that we tweeting only negative lines. We're sick and tired of history, but repeating it twice. Greed, anger and violence, clearly stealing our nights. Feeling it tight between the shoulders with a chill in the spine. Pinching myself, waking up, trying to stop the rewind and move forward towards stories, overcoming our fears. Choosing love over hate, praying, trading hugs over tears. There's only one choice, breaking down the walls and repair every broken heart on this planet till there's no longer fear.
Walls can't hold us in. Fear can't keep us down. Love will rise again. Yeah, it's rising right now. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer,
We shall overcome.
every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We have just begun.
Gonna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Young Gandhi couldn't fathom how to deal with himself when he was thrown off the train and the pain that he felt. Mrs. Parks disrespected, dragged into jail because of the color of her skin, organs, tissues, and cells. One day, a young girl was shot on a bus by a man, a terrorist, part of the Taliban. He said, "On this land, you have no right to stand for what you believe in. Girls have no chance here." Well, now, that's just the story of three souls who shook our planet after being down on their knees. And it's not gonna stop. Those seeds have now become trees, and as human beings, we'll keep on digging till we find peace.
Yeah, the cynics always say that nothing ever changes, that human nature's bound to stay the same. But it couldn't be more plain that violence never pays, injustice never stays, it's bound to fade away. What if history awaits? What if today's the day? And we already know the way, so let's all lead the way. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer.
We shall overcome.
Every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We have just begun.
Gonna make a change, we gotta push much farther.
We shall overcome.
We shall overcome. Come on now.
I will carry on. I will carry on. I will carry on. I will carry on. After we're gone. Long after we're gone. The roots of the tree we plant will be strong.
Yeah, come on. Yep. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday.
Makes me wanna sing now. We shall overcome.
Every time I think it's gonna take much longer.
We shall overcome.
Every time I question, am I getting stronger?
We shall overcome.
Make a change, we gotta push much farther. 'Cause I'm
Someday.
feeling it deep in my heart.
Deep in my
I
heart,
do believe.
I do believe.
I do believe.
We shall overcome someday.
Come on, put your hearts together. Here we go. Woo! I knew it. God had a plan for us to do it. To hit rock bottom before we rise and continue. To first learn greed before we learn to be human. To do wrong deeds before we learn to spread beauty. There's always a plan, and now it's time to take a stand for the right of the planet, every woman and man. We ain't gonna stop, only growing our demands for all beings to feel peace in every heart and land. Thank you, Lord, for the strength and the courage to bring us together and keep our souls nourished. These tough times will only drown in our chorus, cause we all believe that the truth is before us. We shall overcome this pain. We shall overcome this day. We pray for love to lead the way.
We shall overcome someday.
We pray for love to lead the way.
Well, and now we'll open up the Zoom.